it's really important that people know how you make them feel.
And also like taking accountability for your part, but also there's a really fine line with that, because I think especially as women, we're taught to be responsible for everybody's experience of us, and we take away their own growth when we do that. Hello there, prosperity seeker, and welcome to another episode of the Prosperity Approach. I'm your host, Allyson Chavez. So today I am talking with the amazing Stephanie Rivera, and I met Stephanie a little while ago. We were talking on her podcast called Joy Found Here. So let me just say, everybody, of course, I'm going to be besties with somebody who has a podcast called Joy Found Here. And we had just the most remarkable conversation about gratitude and how we can change our life through that really simple practice. And after we're done, I'm like, okay, Stephanie, I love you and I want my audience to know you. So I'm like, please come on my podcast. And she very, very graciously accepted. So Stephanie, thank you so much for being here. Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, first of all, I am so excited and honored to be listening and speaking today with you again. It was a love fest like no other. And your episode was fire. Fire, everybody, is all I'm going to say. And thank you again for having me. So, what about me? So, I'm 1,000 things, because I just am a curious, lifelong learner, and I love to try things and want to experience everything that this life has to offer. So currently, let's talk currently, content creator, and yes, the host of the weekly podcast Joy Found Here. My latest love, we're entering our third season. It is just so wonderful. I get to speak to amazing individuals with share that same passion. And, we're here to empower people when we're navigating life and life's challenges. And, there is rebounding from loss and finding love in all aspects, not just in relationships, but in life, in careers, in community. And there are shit storms. We get through it. And after the rain, the rainbow does come. You got to look for it. Stop and look. And that's really kind of, our message is really just to remind people, and I love yours, it doesn't have to be hard.
No. And in fact, I remember Einstein was saying that any fool can make something more complicated and more violent and more hard to understand, but it takes a touch of genius and a little bit of crazy to make it really, really simple. And it can, and it should. And I think that we live in this society that really tends to, honor almost complicating things. Like it's the more complicated it is, the harder it is, the more valuable it becomes. And I just don't really see a whole lot of merit in that. I think, if it's a big challenge to overcome, then certainly, but we can overcome challenges with ease and flow. We don't have to struggle our way through them. But to your point too, we were talking about before we started recording, like we want to find joy in the moment. We want to find joy in the now. We do need to look for the rainbows after the rain instead of being like, oh my gosh, that shitstorm completely annihilated me. Let me talk more and more about the storm instead of looking at all of the good that came from the storm. But we also live in this reality, right? We also live on the planet at this time. There's lots of complicated issues going on. There's a lot of topsy-turvy going on. What happens when we fall into a rut? Because it happens. It happens to you. It happens to me. What do we do?
I am currently looking behind at my rut. And it always surprises me when I do recognize the funk, and I'm like, what's happening here? And with lucky, I have the joy background to fall on, because I'll be like, I don't have joy today. I'm not finding joy. Even if joy was to hit me right in the face, I would probably be like, swat the gnat out of the way. So it takes a little time to go in. And first of all, quiet is the best thing that I use, and I don't tell anybody what they should do. I can only be, base whatever it is I say on my experience, on my learnings. And for me, I could get, I could be bitchy. I could just get all pissed off at things. And the more you resist,
Or it persists.
The universe is very accommodating. So again, I know all of this, and I'll be like, just asking it is received. Hey, thanks for serving that one up. So when when you get that little piece of reality, and instead of staying online, instead of telling my story and keeping it alive, because people love to, and I always be like, the horse is dead. They're out of the stable. It's over. That I'm not looking behind, but everybody loves to live in the story. Mm-hmm. I love to put a period at the end of the grammatical period. That means it's over. And now we go on. And now the next paragraph, you can start something totally different.
So let's talk about that space in between the period and the new paragraph when you're ending. Like, what did you do to get out of your rut? Because I experienced this a whole lot last year of in all transparency. I'm like, good crap. I teach prosperity. And why am I just in panic all the time with money? Like, correct. I thought this was over. I thought I'd done this years ago and we're done. And
yet here we find ourselves.
And here we are. Yeah.
And what were you doing in my head, by the way? Because that's exactly, that is exactly what was happening. And again, the more you give that part life, the more the real plays over and over. It stays, maybe gets a little bigger. So what I usually do is I need quiet. And I can shut it all off. My first go-to is I love to go outside. Outside for me, I don't care if it's raining in the summer. Summer rain is like so much fun, and you got that nice fresh, the air smells so good. I love just sitting, and I'll listen to what nature has to offer, if it's the birds particularly singing that day or nothing at all. So that I can stop the noise is my first step. Just get off the ride, pump the brake, change lanes, and step away.
Okay, can I ask a question for this? Because I actually have a client right now in the throes of this, and we're getting her out of this rut, but she has these moments where she's in calm and then she gets into panic again. And so I love the idea of going out in nature, but what I have found and what she's experiencing is we're in nature and we're outside and we're closing our eyes and we're taking a breath, and yet it's still the chatter of what happens next week? What happens next month? Oh no, what if I run out of everything? What if I die? Why did I follow my intuition? Like,
are you really taking a breath? Like if you just literally, if the assignment is on, and again, the guidance, if it's one of your clients, you would, like step outside and just take a breath, period. That's your call to action. And then she might get, or they might get like a minute rest, reprise. It just stops the connection. A minute. I never said 5. I never said a half an hour, like, a time restraint. I was talking to a potential coach yesterday, and we were talking about a course, and she had said something about 12 weeks. And I will tell you, I had like this reaction. I'm like, 12 weeks. I don't know if I could commit to that. So time to people, it's such a sacred thing. But when you just say, simple act, and again, period, walk outside, period. Don't have to check the box, walk outside, or just sit back in your chair, close your eyes a minute, even if it's 30 seconds, whatever it is, don't measure it, but and the only thing you're thinking about is taking the breath. And then the noise may start, but it won't be at that speed. That's, just again, what I find now. Does that solve all my problems? Am I like, woo, here's joy, I crossed the street? like any practice, it has to develop into exercise. Just, build it in and incorporate it throughout. And perhaps the times of let me just, take my little time out, let me step, let me breathe, they become a little shorter and shorter, which to me tells me then, okay, now I'm coming out of it because my belief system is increasing. Let me get to my gratitude. I know what I can do and what I get to do.
And when we're in that panic mode, or when we're in that like life is never going to get better mode, we can't jump to joy from there. It's too far away energetically for us to jump to that frequency. And so, but really, I mean, there's so much going on physiologically in your body when you will just follow the simple instruction to just breathe. And that's all you're focused on. Because what happens is, you've triggered the amygdala, or the amygdala just gets triggered, and it's highly, highly sensitive these days. And that's like the panic button in our brain, right? And that's our part of our lizard brain. So we can't think of solutions. Like we can't gratitude our way out of that. And so we really do just have to like do a reset. And isn't that so beautiful? Like when you're in a rut and you want to reset, you breathe.
And some things are just so simple, but again, it goes back to all the reasons why we can't. Well, I don't have time for that. Okay. A simple, okay. But again, it's how uncomfortable you want to be and for how long.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And here's the thing too, we get really, really desperate. At least I do. I should probably just speak for myself. I found when I was working my way through this as well, that I would get desperate. And when we get desperate, we get manipulative, right? And so we're like, okay, I'm going to do all of these things so that it will change. And then I got really upset because I'm like, okay, breathe. Why hasn't it changed? Hey, I've been doing gratitude. Why didn't it change? Hey, I've been writing with my non-dominant hand to rewire my brain. Why hasn't anything changed? So I'm looking around.
I've got all these tools.
Yeah, there's all these tools. Why hasn't it changed? Well, because I forgot. I forgot, or I didn't know at the moment that the purpose of what I was trying to change was me, not my circumstances.
Yes.
And what I wanted to change was how I felt for 1 minute at a time or 2 minutes at a time. So when that became the agenda, instead of changing the money, or instead of changing the health, or changing the outward circumstance, the whole agenda became, I just want to feel peace for like, can we do 2 minutes? Can we do 2 minutes? And that's where I started, not a whole day of peace. And I remember there was a specific song I would listen to that just like, it just calmed me down. And so for that 2.5 minutes of that song, I was like, I was in peace. I was in some calm. And I remember thinking, oh, wow, that was really, that was time well spent. Those last 2 minutes, that was really great because I wasn't in panic. I wasn't in any sort of anxiety. My brain wasn't running away with me. Can I try it for another 2.5 minutes and listen to the song again?
Let me play the song again. Yeah. And each time it's almost, music does that to us. Aromatherapy does that, either, let me light the candle and just the act of, whatever little routine or ritual that brings the calm that, like, I love it when, like, I love, I have candles from, not a sponsor, but they should be, Anthropology, their scent, I think it's called Volcano or something, but I love that candle. And so on the weekends, I make my special, French press Cuban coffee. And it's a little routine that's special to me after a week of working. This is my time. I use my little quiet time to get creative. And it is little things. It could be the song. It could be, let me put on my favorite, whatever it is, we all have it. We all have it.
Yeah. Yeah. And
something just to bring that little smile and just that break. Then when you just take that moment to stop the noise, to stop beating yourself up, to lower the frenzy, then you're, a little glimmer of, I'm so lucky I can. That's gratitude. Oh, the sun is shining today. Oh, let me soak in, let me just get a ray of sunshine and some vitamin D. And every little piece, it grows in either direction. Gratitude, now we're going to raise the energy again. Let's get up. We're still not at, the high enough rung for joy, but it's much better than the shithole we were in 5 minutes ago.
Yes. And I think also what the breath does when you're focusing on the breath is it does two things. It finally brings you back to the present moment. So you stop future tripping, because that's why we're panicked, because we're future tripping.
Write the story that hasn't been written yet.
Exactly.
You have the details of it. Remember, universe delivers.
Yes.
What are you going to get?
Yes, exactly. Ask and it is given. I didn't ask for that. Well, but your vibration.
You did.
And that's what we respond to.
And it's very good. And it's fun to watch.
Yes. Yes. So not only does it bring you back to the present, but it puts you in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And now when you're in your body and out of the spin of your head,
right.
now you can actually find solutions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then you get to the part of your brain that will find a solution to the issue.
And then again, you may not get that light bulb moment. And when we're, wallowing in lack, panic, etc., you're figuring out every which way, like, where's the money come? Oh, it's not coming today. Oh, I thought it was coming today. Whatever that is, there are, again, for when you do give yourself a break, when you do gather yourself and be like, okay, but hey, you know what? Someone bought me lunch yesterday. Wasn't that nice? And again, that's abundance. That's money you didn't have to spend. I met some girlfriends the other night for some drinks, and one of them, and we always split things, whatever. And one of them's like, you know what? I've had such a great week. This is great. And it's on me. I'm like, oh, okay. I count all of that. That all counts as I am abundant. I'm lucky to have friends in my life like this. I'm lucky we get to get together. And someone else paid in a time where I was worried.
Yes. Yes. Further evidence that God loves you, that God's in the details, and that God uses others to bless you.
Indeed.
Where do we get our money from? We get it from other people. And how does God bless other people? Through us too.
Yes, absolutely.
Whether it's, I value our friendship so much. I've had a great week. Let me bless your life.
It was literally that. And, not expected, I didn't go out saying, gosh, I hope one of them can pay for me. No, not at all.
Right.
And part of that, the flip side of that, because sometimes we, shut ourselves off from receiving if you're into perhaps the giver role or the people pleaser role, is, oh, no, I could never. When people give something, they get something out of it. So let them get that and accept and receive. It's, the yin and the yang of it.
Yes, absolutely. And take it as evidence that you're already wealthy. Like there are times where we forget, because we're in this loud world and energy is contagious. Negative energy is contagious and positive energy is contagious. And so what have you been immersing yourself in? What have you been listening to? What have, just for observation's sake and for the sake of awareness, to be like, oh, I've been listening to high five things. Oh, not so much. Where's my intention been? To just be like, oh, okay, I could probably clean that up. We are all addicted to drama. It's true. And so can I get addicted to the drama of the future I desire to create, rather than addicted to the drama of the shitstorm that's been going on, or the boredom that's been going on, or the complacency that I've had, or avoidance, or like whatever your rut happens to look like right now. And then can we just ease our way out of it, just because getting out of the rut feels so much better.
It really does. It truly, again, I'm recently emerged. I feel like I'm back above subgrade, and I'm like, oh, hello. This is where I belong.
Mm-hmm.
And I get, and everything, there are lessons. Absolutely. And, for me, again, my recent takeaway was, I really wonder why I went down so quickly. I was in a really good spot, and you take that step, didn't see the sinkhole, and I was a couple stories down for sure.
Wow.
Yeah. And it surprised me, but again, visited, didn't like it, obviously, and really just had to go back to my little Stephanie. You know, you can do this. You know what to do.
When you got to that point, at that point, was it fairly easy for you to get out of it? Or did it take a little while to get to that?
It doesn't, nothing happens instantaneously and or in a day. You know, I definitely beefed up my, my little morning prayer. I really was conscious of what I was thinking and writing and saying.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also did add a little to my dream future. Like I hadn't even been thinking of that. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go back to, let's see, next year we're going to be married 40 years. Where do we want to go? We've always wanted to go to Portugal. And I started looking at, villas to rent because I'm going to Portugal for my 40th wedding anniversary next April.
Yes,
and, that then opens up a whole, now I can take a sharp right, exit the highway, and now I can be where I want to be. So it takes time.
It does. And you know what? I know somebody's going to be listening to this thinking, I know this. I
know this too. I think we're both, we could say we're both experts. and good news, we're not the only two experts in the world because we're all gold medal winners on this. We know, but is it easy, comfortable, routine? Whatever it is, it's again, like my body, the form of my body was just waiting for me when I slid down. Oh, here she is again. Oh, we know her. So then it's a matter of, yeah, guys, not staying. Gotta go.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, one thing that has held me back is I have so many books on abundance and prosperity and creation and declarations and subconscious programming and all of that. And I'll pick up a book and I'll be like, yeah, I know. Like I know this. Like this is so at this point in my development, it's like this is just elementary, right? But then when I push that pride away, because I think that's the problem. Like, yeah, I already know this. So, but it didn't work. So let me I know this. I know this. Okay. But are you practicing it?
Correct.
Because it's one thing to know it and it's another to embody it. I guess maybe that's a better way to say it. We know it cognitively. Are we really working on embodying it?
Correct.
And if not, maybe there's some gaps that we can close because you and I aren't here to pass judgment on anybody of what's going on.
God, no.
And we're all here. It's so important to have self-compassion more now than ever before, because holy cow, you say one wrong thing to somebody else and suddenly you're a hater and you're got to be annihilated and destroyed and canceled and all of these things. So that has people living in fear as well to express their beliefs and their perspective of life for fear of,
And when something like that happens, honestly, and again, if you're saying something without the malice of intent, great, and yet it's received, and I'm so guilty of this, and I've trained my family and especially my kids, because you don't sometimes hear what you say or an expression or a tone or what have you. Like I would never outwardly, say something nasty or mean or degrading to my children and to people. But yet I've taught them to say to me, that was really hurtful. And then I take a little step back and I'm like, oh, okay. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean it that way.
Yeah.
As opposed to, here's a tattoo, carry that one forever because my mother said to me, whatever. So it's really important that people know how you make them feel.
And also like taking accountability for your part, but also not like there's a really fine line with that, because I think especially as women, we're taught to be responsible for everybody's experience of us.
Yes.
And we take away their own growth when we do that. So when we're all like trying to be so accommodating so that nobody is hurt, it's so exhausting for us because that's
take off the bubble wrap and give everyone the voice that they need. People want to be seen and heard. That's what they want to be. And
absolutely.
we say stuff. We say stuff. And 9 times out of 10, when I do get that back, because there's nothing you can say to me. I mean, it's hard I don't take things personally. I don't. So I wouldn't mean something, if I just made a general statement, and either that or they'll say, well, that was a little judgy. I'm like, really? Because I didn't mean it to be that way. But I will say, raised in a very judgy family. I was. And we recently had family over a couple of weekends ago, and cousins and everything, and the whole topic. And we were talking about podcasts and shows that we wrote and that we liked. And I just remember, and I said, wow, this is a really judgy group. Like, just from hearing the banter, I'm like, we are really judgy. Like, who do we are.
And yet that's human nature, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and so like own our judgment, right? And like, just like, oh, okay, yeah, that was, and I've been having some of those realizations myself. Like, holy cow, I was so judgy about that. I was so judgy back then. Oh my goodness.
Right.
And this is where compassion comes in.
Exactly.
Like, I didn't
really
realize
tunes into that.
Yeah, I didn't realize it. I've grown, I've matured, and I'm going to own my stuff, and I'm going to let you own your stuff, and we're just going to be here to see if we can lift each other up.
That's why we're here.
Right? Like that's what it's all about. Like, you lift me and I lift thee, and together we ascend. Like, it's
love.
And we need each other to help us out of ruts from time to time. We need somebody who's, on the other, like you said, like we were talking before, and you're like, I'm fresh on the other side of this rut.
I'm fresh on the other side.
So glad we're doing this interview right now, because it's still fresh on your mind, and it's still that sense of relief, and whoo, we got through that. And that wasn't necessarily easy, but wow, it still happens even when this is your daily practice. And that's okay. It's part of experiencing contrast in life. And we'll put the beat up stick down and just calm our bodies, calm our minds. And then we can pick up our tools. Right.
Yes.
And we can just baby step sometimes our way out of ruts, and other times we can just sort of launch ourselves. This, depends on where we're at, and what's going to be best for us in our journey, and what God thinks is going to be the most valuable to us, and give the lesson that packs the biggest punch.
Give the lesson. Exactly. Yeah. It's all, I'm a firm believer. It's so all for a reason. It really, truly is.
And that reason is to help us feel more joy. It really is. The ruts help you to have such greater appreciation for the joy on the other side of them.
Yeah.
If you never had the rut, you never feel joy.
Correct. Contrast is a part of life. The good, the bad, the win, the loss. You need it to really clarify and focus on what you really want. Because they're so easy to know, oh, what do I want? Oh, gosh, I don't know. But I'll tell you what I don't want. Here's the list. And that's fine, because then from there, you're like, okay, what's the first thing? Well, I don't want this. I don't want to feel that. Okay, well, then you want to feel this. Yeah. Well, we got one thing that you wanted. Okay, next. So we need the contrast to help us and launch to the next level.
Yeah. 100%. Oh my goodness, Stephanie, this has been such a fun conversation. I know people love you and are going to be like, how do I find her? So Stephanie, tell us how we can find you.
Oh my goodness. All right. So, I would love for you guys to check us out. Joy Found Here podcast. We are Apple, we are Spotify, we are everywhere. You listen to your pods, weekly episodes every Tuesday with superstars like Allyson and of that caliber. It is just, we all have a story, and we share it. And we share it. And, there are some bruises, there are some scars, but man, the good times are also there, and they're there to be enjoyed. So we would love for you to join us there. The website is joyfoundhere.com. I hang out at both Facebook and Instagram. So Facebook, I am Stephanie Rivera, and Instagram, I like to complicate things. So I'm Stephanie Martinez Rivera. And LinkedIn also, Stephanie Martinez Rivera. But this has been such a joy And I thank you. It's so much fun to be on the other side.
It's great, isn't it? And thank you. It's been a joy and an honor to have you here. We'll put all of those links in the show notes so you can just click on those and go follow Stephanie with Joy Found Here. And until next time, remember, prosperity becomes you. Bye-bye.